Good day there once again, viewers. This is your mate Kamikaze78 here, come to you guys with some more Planetside 2 content. For today guys, we are strapping on the heavy assault armor coated in a red theme to review the Terran Republic's heavy hitting light machine gun, the TMG-50. We will be covering the stats that this weapon incorporates and how all of the individual factors build up the final weapon and its performance, the attachment options available to the weapon, and how they affect the weapon for the better or for the worse, all the while covering some weapon specific strategy to ensure that you and this weapon operate in perfect harmony with one another. So without further ado, let's dive headfirst into the pool of numbers behind this weapon to find a personality. So, starting us out here today is the damage profile of this weapon, which comes with an exceptional 167 damage at the 10 meters maximum and 143 damage at 75 meters minimum, making the TMG-50 the only LMG available to the TR that extends beyond the 143 maximum damage profile, which in itself gives the TMG-50 a highly independent personality. With this in mind, the weapon requires a grand total of 6 shots within the 10 meter range to score a kill, and 7 shots anywhere beyond this distance. Now, when we take this into consideration, along with the rate of fire of this weapon clocking in at 577 rounds per minute, or 9.616 rounds per second, then we can come to a theoretical time to kill of 0.52 seconds at the 10 meter mark, and 0.63 seconds at the 75 meter mark. Now keep in mind that these time to kill values are theoretical and operate on the basis of bullet travel time being instantaneous and all shots fired at the target landing in the chest area without any damage multipliers coming into effect. Now, when it comes to the controllability of this weapon, there are only few weapons in the game in general that can match the predictability of how this weapon behaves. Coming with a strong vertical kick but minimal horizontal shift. For all of those whom are interested in the nitty-gritty numbers, the vertical kick on this weapon comes in at 0.45 degrees per shot, with a horizontal deviation of 0.175 degrees either pulling left or right, with no predetermined directional influence, thanks to the 0 degrees recoil angle. For the first shot of every burst that you initiate, you're going to be experiencing a 1.5 times first shot multiplier, which will bring your recoil for every first shot to a 0.675 degrees recoil. Now, a stat that we don't normally cover here is the recoil decrease, which is the speed in which the weapon recenters after it has stopped firing. But for the TMG-50, it comes in with a best of class 15, which we will get into a little bit more detail about later. But this is definitely a stat to keep in mind because it's something that really does help make this weapon work as effectively as it possibly can do. As for the ammo capacity of this weapon, we are looking at a 75 round magazine accompanied by a 225 ammo pool in the reserves, taking the user 4.24 seconds for a short reload and 5.225 seconds for a long reload. Wrapping up this weapon nicely is the aiming down sight movement multiplier of 0.5 times and a muzzle velocity of 615 meters per second. So, say you are interested in this weapon simply based on the statistics alone. In order to add it to your personal arsenal, you are looking at a 1,000 cert investment to unlock it for a single Terran Republic soldier that you purchase the weapon on, or a 699 Daybreak coin investment to unlock the weapon across all Terran Republic soldiers that you have currently enlisted or enlist in the future. So, the TMG-50 is the Terran Republic light machine gun that aims to stand out from the rest by trading rate of fire for an increased damage profile. This is essentially the Terran Republic light machine gun that thinks it belongs on the NC side of the war, and can really be classified as the hipster of the arsenal. In short, if you are a Terran Republic soldier that enjoys engaging in long-range combat, but wants something that hits a little heavier but is less sustainable than, say, the Bull or the Rhino, then this is the gun that aims to answer all of your prayers. However, in the process of this weapon being fine-tuned for long-range combat with a heavy-hitting mindset, there are two factors that take a heavy hit negatively with this weapon, that being the CQC potential and the recoil values. When it comes to the recoil of this weapon, many people tend to get thrown off by the sheer force of the vertical recoil, as this weapon comes with the highest vertical recoil per shot throughout the entire TR LMG arsenal. However, to compensate for this, the weapon also comes with the slowest rate of fire throughout the arsenal, ensuring that this intense recoil kick happens less often, giving you a tad more time to compensate for each shot between shots. To build on this, the TMG-50 also comes with the lowest horizontal deviation across all TR LMGs, which in turn makes the TMG-50 the straightest weapon in the form of its recoil pattern. So compensating for this weapon is as easy as pulling straight down on the mouse or straight down on the thumbstick, depending on your console of choice, and alas, the headshots shall come rolling in. And a small note to take from that is that headshots are the key to your survivability with this weapon. The weapon does admittedly have a fairly below average time to kill value. It takes a little bit longer for this weapon to achieve a kill than a faster firing weapon. In order to bring your time to kill value back onto par with the rest of the arsenal, headshots are going to be crucial with this weapon, and thanks to its predictable recoil pattern, this is fairly easy to accomplish. With that in mind, however, and despite this weapon having one of the more predictable recoil patterns of the arsenal, getting cocky with this weapon and going completely full auto is never the best idea, as the recoil will take advantage of you if it gets the chance to do so. So unless you are stuck at point blank range to the point where you can hear the enemy breathing, I would recommend sticking anywhere between the 2 to 5 shot bursts to continuously land those headshots that are ever so crucial. And taking into consideration the best of class recoil decrease of this weapon that we were talking about earlier, making fast follow-up bursts is superbly easy to do, simply because the weapon centers faster and therefore you can fire faster whilst maintaining your accuracy. Now, by doing this, you will be competing with the not too bad, but at the same time not too great first shot multiplier a little bit more often than what you may like. So in order to take advantage of this, I personally like to start my bursts in the chest area of my target and let the increased recoil kick from the first shot kick up into the head area, when I can then use the subsequent shots, which are taking advantage of the more predictable and less intense recoil pattern, to maintain my reticule on my target's dome. However, in the process of the recoil becoming more controllable thanks to the limited rate of fire, the CQC potential of this weapon does take a severe hit. To explain in more detail, say you were to miss a shot in CQC with the T9 carve. It isn't that much of a detrimental loss because the weapon fires so fast to the point where you should be able to adjust and get another shot on your target before they can take advantage of your miss shot. In the case of the TMG-50, if you were to miss a shot, the hostile has a lot more time by comparison to take advantage of that miss shot by unloading into you while you're in the process of firing again. And this is exactly why I would recommend avoiding hip fire whenever possible with this weapon, as the risk factor is just way too high, unless you find yourself in a situation where aiming down sights would be more damaging to your survivability. Say you're at really point blank range, and if you were to aim down sights it screws your sensitivity too much and won't be able to track your target effectively, then you stick with hip fire. But in any other situations, I'd stick with aiming down sights, just so you're not running into that risk of potentially missing a shot and therefore giving your enemy a lot of time to make up for that lost damage. And yes, I know that sounds highly hypocritical of me, as there have been multiple situations in the footage where I was hip firing and I probably shouldn't have been, but there were times when my kill streaks would have lasted a lot longer if I had simply remembered to aim down sights like I should have. Anyway, let's go over the attachment options and what best enhances this weapon's overall experience. It has access to the 1x through to 6x optics, including the 2x and IRNV optics, the compensator, the suppressor, the laser sight, the forward grip, the dark light flashlight, and the high velocity ammunition. So, as per always with weapon attachments, I am a strong believer in enhancing a weapon's strengths instead of attempting to make up for its downfalls. And therefore I recommend going for your standard issue long range build of the compensator plus forward grip. The compensator will reduce your vertical recoil by 15%, bringing the overall vertical recoil down to 0.3923 per shot, and the forward grip will reduce your horizontal recoil by 25% to bring the horizontal deviation down to 0.13125 degrees per shot. As in most cases, I also recommend that you avoid the high velocity ammo altogether, as I never really noticed a significant increase in effectiveness when I mounted it, and in fact I actually found it made the weapon harder to use with the added recoil trait that high velocity ammo actually comes with. Optics is, as per always, subjective to user preference, but with this weapon I never found myself needing to go above 2 times, as whilst the 3.4 optic assisted with those longer ranged engagements, I found it a little bit too limiting on this weapon's possibilities. Now, as I said before, when it comes to attachments you should be focusing on enhancing the weapon's performance for what it is aimed to do, and with that in mind I strongly recommend that you avoid the laser sight and suppressor, as they contradict the design of this weapon and in theory make the weapon a lot worse. But me being a curious bugger that I am, decided to give this combo a go on the TMG-50 and expected nothing short of bad results. But much to my surprise, I actually did okay with the setup. In fact, I had some pretty sweet kill streaks running a suppressor and a laser sight. I don't know what it was, because the combination that I had mounted on the weapon was in theory doing nothing but hurting the potential of the weapon, but for some reason it actually proved to be an effective setup that I enjoyed. So I'm not going to go officially recommending this setup due to the theoretical downsides that it provides, but I will say that if you are curious, I quietly urge you to give it a go. It may surprise you. So as a quick TLDR of the TMG-50 light machine gun, it essentially is the heavy-hitting cousin of the Bull and the Rhino. The Bull and the Rhino excel at long-range sustainability, being able to lay down rounds at range with accuracy for a long period of time. Meanwhile, the TMG-50 trades these factors out for raw damage output and short burst accuracy. If you happen to pick up the TMG-50 and learn the art of tap firing, then you and the TMG-50 are going to be in perfect harmony, showing those NC rebels and Vanu Sovereignty cultists a what for. And guys, with all that said, that wraps up today's review on the TMG-50 light machine gun for the Terran Republic. I do hope you guys found today's video enjoyable and a little bit informative. If you did, then a backhanding of that like button would be superbly appreciated. And if you're new to the channel and went on to enjoy today's video, then why don't you go around backhanding the subscribe button whilst you're at it, guys. That would also be greatly appreciated. If you have any feedback for today's video, then some comments in the comment section down below would be also superbly appreciated. And as per always, folks, there are a bunch of social media links and my in-game characters in-name for you to get into contact with me. Once again, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Peace out, and I will see you guys next time. Have a good one.